was one of those.
Hey everybody, it's right at 1 o'clock, which means in theory our live stream just went on. So for those online, we are spending about 10-15 minutes here networking. The teams and our participants have access to a bunch of water, and it's all waters from Austin-based startups. So go say hello to the rest of the startups in the community. That way we can keep it together. About 1:15, I'll come back and start the speakers' introductions, and we'll figure out the reverb at some point. In the meantime, enjoy the music. All right, thanks y'all. All right, welcome to SEAL Decision Day. This is kind of the friendly hello to start grabbing drinks, finding a chair. We have a mix of things up front and chairs, some cozy cushiony things, and tables in the back. My name is Bart Bond. I run the SEAL program amongst some other fun at the university. Right now I'm buying a little bit of time for everyone to get settled. Awesome. Really what I get to do is introduce Nina Ho, who's the director of the Launchpad, and she's gonna get to talk about all the cool things that our group has launched and is doing over the last year, including SEAL, before we get kicked off. With that, Nina.
Awesome, thank you, Bart. All right, hi everyone, my name is Nina Ho. I'm director of the Launchpad UT Austin. Before we get started, can we just give yourself a huge round of applause for making it through this summer and the last year and a half? So applause. And welcome to everyone who is joining us virtually as well. So I just wanted to introduce our program before transitioning into what you're all here for today. So this is our team, Mitch Jacobson, Wave, our executive director. Like I said, my name is Nina. I'm director of the Launchpad. We have Shannon, our phenomenal program coordinator, Bart Bond, the living legend, Barrett Ward, our new marketing manager, and our phenomenal Rose, who is our SEAL associate. So applause for Rose and Bart, everyone. So what is the Launchpad? We're a resource hub that helps students of all backgrounds navigate and explore entrepreneurship at UT. We help students find the right opportunities and navigate the 50 to 80 plus programs on campus. We offer some customized programs, which I'll talk about in a little bit, including SEAL. We're housed in the School of Undergraduate Studies so that we can be discipline agnostic and serve students at scale. We predominantly serve maybe 97% undergrads, but obviously are serving grad students as well. And lastly, we're a proud member of the Global Blackstone Launchpad network of 48 campuses across the US and Ireland. So we have relationships with a lot of entrepreneurship centers across the country. So our mission is two-pronged. We exist to help students explore entrepreneurship at their own pace and to cultivate an entrepreneur mindset, regardless of whether they go on to launching a company with us or not. And we do this by providing a whole ecosystem of resources, from mentorship, our co-working space, to some of the programs that you're gonna hear about today. And we serve students on the entire journey of their experiences, from whether you're just interested in exploring entrepreneurship to, hey, I have an idea, what is customer discovery, what is Lean Canvas, where do I go on campus and in the Austin community, to create where, hey, I have a research concept, how do I move towards building a prototype or launching a pilot, and lastly, something like SEAL that helps students scale. How do I get those initial sales and really rev up my company? We are incredibly proud of the impact that we've been able to make so far, especially in the last year or so, and we're excited to just keep going. And so 3 programs I wanted to introduce to y'all about. The first one is called Startup Grants. And so the need that Bart and I identified is, any type of extracurricular activities, including entrepreneurship, is a privilege, right? And so how can we lower the barriers for students based on their socioeconomic realities? And so now we're committed to giving out $15,000 every semester, broken up in $500 to $5,000 grants to support students in pursuing entrepreneurship opportunities. And that's incredibly broad. We have students who are doing a health literacy campaign for Rohingya refugees in Bangladesh, to a civic health platform for Mexican citizens, to a living stipend for students to do research on, smart gas sensors and blood coagulation device in the lab in Austin this summer. So if you're a current undergraduate UT student who's watching and you need some money, definitely apply for our fall round. The application deadline is September 6th. If you're a young person at UT who could really use this opportunity, please share this with them as well. Secondly, our Gap Year Founders Program. Something that we realize is, there's so many resources on campus, but as soon as a student becomes an alumni, everything is just gone, right? And that's a huge missed opportunity because, recent graduates make such a great profile of potential entrepreneurs, right? Like lots of energy, incredibly intelligent, high risk tolerance. So how can we give them some resources to really continue exploring entrepreneurship after they graduate. And so that's led to our new Gap Year Founders Program, which is a 9-month program with a living stipend to help students go from customer discovery to potentially launching a venture. So our inaugural cohort consists of Pia, Ellie, and Preeti. So Austin community, if you're working in the spaces of music and tech, environmental tech, or biomimicry and textiles, and you'd like to support our founders, please, reach out to us. And if you're a recent graduate, please apply next summer as well. And then lastly, our Cottrell Faculty Entrepreneurship Grant. So even though we serve students, we realize there is a huge gap on campus that could better be served for, faculty members. And we all know that UT is a world premier research institute. So how can we empower these individuals to potentially commercialize the amazing work that they're doing, right? And that's by giving them time, resources, and industry guidance. And that's led to the launch of our first inaugural Cottrell Faculty Grant. So we're very proud, excited to share that our first recipient is Professor Craig Watkins. He's been at UT Austin for 21 years, is also the founding director of the Institute for Media Innovation, and he's currently working on a mental health application for young people, leveraging peer support specialists. So Austin community, if you're working in this space and would like to support Professor Watkins, please reach out to us as well. And with that, I'll hand it over to Bart for SEAL. Thanks, y'all.
Very good. Thank you, Nina. For SEAL, this is decision day. It wraps up the summer for us. A couple of people I got to point out first because we've been doing this program a long time. This is our 13th year. We started it back when I was part of the Austin Technology Incubator, which Mitch Jacobson now runs. And it is largely focused externally. And so as the Launchpad grew, we moved it over to be part of the Launchpad portfolio. Back in the first year, I scrounged to find 5 teams. It was actually hard to find entrepreneurs to come spend the summer with us. This year, I looked at over 100 startups to pick these 14. It's just absolutely astonishing to see the evolution and growth of the UT ecosystem. And so that's a little bit of kind of background and context for the teams you're going to see today. Over that journey, of course, Ms. Jacobson has been part of SEAL forever. I get to point out Jay Brown helped us run it several years ago, who now helps run the Texas Health Catalyst Program, and Ian Bedeau, who helps run the Texas Venture Labs. So as much as like the startups are our product, so are the people that come through the program. It's amazing to see what they go on to go do. So today, what we'll do, just give a little context. We have 2 groups of pitches, 7 startups each. We'll take a break in between because that's a lot of time. A few of the companies, because we were started off virtual, a few of the teams actually are presenting via video, and some are up here on stage. So get ready for a little bit of mix. We're going to try it and see how this goes. So thank you for the excitement and adventure. For SEAL, the way we constructed is a go, no-go. In those first years when we were scrounging for five teams, it really was a hardcore go, no-go decision end of the summer, where about a third of the teams got up on stage and announced they were just shutting down and walking away. Today, that's not quite the case, because the teams are so much more mature. Multiple teams have raised several $100,000 already as they're standing on stage today. It's just a very different existence. And so you hear more about pivots as the versions of no-goes, but there's a little bit of drama coming down today as well. So get ready for that. Nina talked about us being part of the Launchpad network. So we have teams from UT Austin, UT Dallas, and Texas A&M joining us. It's kind of nice that we're here at Capital Factory hosting this, so we don't have to mix A&M and Longhorns on either of our campuses. TJ, actually the A&M teams are fantastic. I appreciate y'all doing this. So the way the program works, about 2 months ago, we had a kickoff where we hand-selected some mentors to come in and fill out very specific feedback for the teams. That, along with industry-specific mentors, help craft with the work plan for the summer for each team. The idea was to pick 1 or 2 major milestones that the team need to achieve over the course of the summer and go do that or not. And so that's kind of what you're going to hear, the work and the journey that the teams were on this summer. We had incredible founders come in. I talk about workshops. Each one of those workshops was taught either by a lawyer who's been around the startup scene for a long time or a founder. It's so great to see alumni of SEAL coming back to give those same talks because they have still healing scar tissue of a lot of those issues. And then brings us today, last major part of this SEAL program. So you're going to hear some of the announcements. That should be a little bit of extra drama. So here's a little bit of the kickoff mentors. Bounce to that. Special thank you to all these individuals. These are the founders and experts we had come in. The asterisks are the alumni of the SEAL program. And then some of them are working on their multiple startups coming through. So it's amazing to see these names pop up. That's today, Accelerate Pivot Shutdown. Here's how it's going to work. Hopefully all of you have found one of the other awesome startups that makes water or tea beverage. We're going through introductions. We're about to have group 1 kickoff, which means, TJ, you're up first, so come up and get ready. Then Neo Ella is second, and I'll keep trying to go through who's coming up next. So with that, I think it's your turn. Awesome.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is TJ Falahoon. I'm a PhD student studying biomedical engineering and the CEO of Airas. So one of my co-founders grew up in a part of India where access to healthcare is limited. And his grandfather, Mr. Rao, lost his vision at the age of 58 due to diabetes. This is a man who loved to work with his hands and explore the outdoors, who could no longer live the life that he wanted to. But this story is not unique. Many individuals who live in rural areas and underserved communities don't have access to eye care. And here in the US, 80% of the 34 million individuals who live with diabetes are at risk for this condition. And half of this population don't go in for the annual eye exams. At Airas, we are addressing this problem by enabling automated retinal exams for primary care. Primary care centers are a hub for diabetes management. However, clinicians at these facilities can't offer eye exams. That's because it's outside of their expertise to interpret images of the retina or dilate the pupils. But with our technology, they can now do this, transforming primary care centers into a one-stop screening center for diabetes management. And our technology also enables them to offer a new revenue-generating service. We've identified a CPT code that enables them to charge insurance for this. For the past 3 years, we've developed an AI image classification system that achieves a 96% sensitivity and specificity when screening for diabetic retinopathy. This has led to publications in reputable journals like Nature and Cell. In parallel, we've also developed a hardware device, specifically a portable retina camera that enables us to visualize the retina without the need to dilate the pupil. And we've obtained a provisional patent for this technology. With 11% of the population suffering from diabetes, the market potential is immense. But we're going to focus on the 27,000 small retail clinics where over 40% of their patients suffer from diabetes. And this represents a $300 million beachhead market. Behind this technology is an exceptional team of 7 founders and 4 advisors. Our founders have educational backgrounds in engineering, work experience in the medical device industry, as well as firsthand experience in business development. We also have a panel of 4 experienced advisors to guide us in areas of business, engineering, and FDA regulations. But most critical, depicted in the bottom left, is our clinical advisor, Dr. Michael Singer, who has over 20 years of experience in ophthalmology. But now I want to talk about our summer experience in the SEAL program. We started off with 2 major objectives. The first of which was to identify our customer segment. Specifically, we want to hone in on the type of primary care physicians, the type of primary care practices to go after. And secondly, we wanted to map out our intellectual property strategy in order to find a way to differentiate ourselves from the competition. So here's what we found. When thinking about the target customer segment, there are 2 major types of clinics, of primary care clinics to target. There are these small retail clinics and there are larger research institutions. And these research hospitals, they're more likely to embrace new technology because they want to publish on their findings and they want to be on the front lines of technology. On the other hand, the small retail clinics, these are where most of the diabetic patients are more familiar with. However, they're more sensitive to price and they're more likely to adopt what has already been established. So we're initially going to focus on these larger research hospitals in order to establish our name, in order to show the technology, and then we plan to eventually expand out to these smaller clinics in order to have the biggest impact. And then thinking about our intellectual property strategy, after speaking to experts, after doing some interviews with people who are more experienced in this avenue, we found that there's a real unique angle when we combine this AI image classification and infrared imaging. That's the differentiator for our technology. So we want to further expand our IP portfolio with this angle. This is going to be our niche moving forward. So moving forward, we're going to really focus on our technology development. Specifically, we're going to combine the software and hardware components of our technology. And then we plan to conduct pilot studies with our partners at Health for All, which is a small nonprofit clinic in Bryan, Texas. This will allow us to obtain feedback and iterate our technology leading up to the clinical studies that we plan to perform sometime in the next 18 months. So at Airas, our goal is to end preventable blindness in vulnerable populations, and I hope that you can join us in our journey. We're looking for mentors who are experienced in FDA regulations, as well as individuals who might be knowledgeable about developing optical instruments. Thank you.
Well done. That was awesome, fantastic. Neil, Ella, you're up next. Then coming after them, change the pace with bold Move Beverages. That's for you. Ooh, advanced tag team. All right.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name's Kaylee, and this is my partner, Hector. We're both UT pharmacy students finishing up our last year. We would just like to provide some context for our team today. We're continuing this project based off of our Health Innovations course. This is a technology currently under development by faculty at UT Austin. Today, I'm going to tell you about NeoElla. It's a tool in development for oncologists to predict outcomes in breast cancer therapy. Triple-negative breast cancer accounts for 10 to 20% of all breast cancer cases. Triple-negative means that it doesn't respond to 3 common chemotherapy targets. It's more invasive, spreads more quickly, and is harder to treat than other types of cancers. A type of chemotherapy called neoadjuvant therapy is usually given before surgery to shrink the tumor. The problem is it only works 10 to 50% of the time, and sometimes different regimens are needed before the tumor will even start to shrink. Imagine you are Ella. Ella has been diagnosed with triple-negative breast cancer. There are treatments available, but it's impossible for her oncologist to predict which one will work for her. Ella endures 3 rounds of neoadjuvant therapy before the tumor starts to get smaller. She experiences side effects such as weight loss, fatigue, and hair loss. Since the first 2 rounds didn't work, Ella has lost precious time and has had the burden of invasive medications and side effects. Ella's journey would have looked completely different if her oncologist had NeoElla to guide the way.
So what is NeoElla, and how can patients like Ella benefit from it? NeoElla is an innovative clinical support tool which utilizes patient-specific tumor data in order to predict the best chemotherapy to reduce the tumor size prior to surgery. By tapping into the full potential of MRI, clinicians are now able to get the right therapy from the get-go and will have the possibility to completely eliminate this process of trial and error in patients. This way, patients like Ella will get their therapy from the get-go, and this story could be a thing of the past. So our vision with this technology is really simple. We want to empower patients and clinicians through the power of predictive technology. By using this non-invasive tool, We want to improve health outcomes, reduce the burden of chemo on patients, and reduce the costs to the system. All of this, we believe, can be achieved through the power of predictive technology. So where is this technology today? So the NeoElla model is still in its early developmental stage. There's been several small-scale studies which have demonstrated a high correlation with the outcome as measured by tumor cellularity and size. However, through the SEAL program, we realized that there is still a need for larger validation studies in order to ensure that the model works in a broader, more diverse population.
This summer, we identified 4 major steps to overcome in order to move forward. First being obtaining non-dilutive funding in order to enhance the prototype by creating a user interface, mapping the regulatory pathway, and then validating it in a large, diverse patient population. This summer, we wanted to explore ways that this technology could go to market and be commercialized. We hope our research and work this summer will help a team in the future bring this amazing technology to market. Our team thanks you for your time. We're very grateful for the SEAL team for allowing us to participate in this program and immerse ourselves in the world of entrepreneurship.
It was truly an amazing experience and a pleasure getting to work with all of you. It's a big thanks to the SEAL team. It was awesome. Thank you, guys. We are NeoElla, pursuing solutions in women's healthcare. Thank you.
Well done. Very good job. Thank you. Thank you both. Next up is Move Beverages to get us going again. And then after that, we're going to have our first video pitch from Explorer Stay. So be prepared for that transition as well. Get that one.
Thank you.
Let's take you can if you want to. All right. Hello, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. Today, you're going to be hearing from numerous companies who are literally saving lives. We are not one of those companies. My name is Jacob Gus. I'm the founder and CEO of Move Beverages, and I'm joined by Chris Sundberg, who's the company's CFO. At Move Beverages, we're looking to change the game for coffee lovers who want to drink responsibly while living life in excess. And we're excited to share with you our vision for the company. So, the alcoholic beverage industry has been going through a bunch of transformations. In the early 2000s, there was the craft beer revolution. Recently, there's been seltzer revolutions. There's another one just over the horizon. RTDs have already eclipsed spirit sales in the United States, and in the next 12 to 18 months, we'll be eclipsing wine sales. So at Move Beverages, our goal is to manufacture never-before-seen products that are made with easily recognizable ingredients and align ourselves with the premiumization, sustainability, and better-for-you movements that are sweeping this space. With these trends in mind and a passion for coffee, we want to introduce Cold Brews. Cold Brews is the first premium craft cocktail in a can that's made with specialty coffee and triple distilled 3-year aged Irish whiskey. Each 11-ounce can comes with fair trade organic coffee, and based on the flavor has 90 to 130 calories, 0 to 5 grams of sugar, 6% ABV, and all the energy you'd expect from a cold brew coffee. We make bold beverages for bold people, and we're excited what the future has in store for our brand.
As mentioned, the alcohol industry is going through another large transformation. So the graph on your left there shows just how big of a transformation. What I want you to pay attention to is that top line. That's the growth in mixed drinks, which is led primarily by RTDs. It's grown 40%. It's had a 40% CAGR over the last several years. And then on the right-hand side, we see that when millennials in particular leave home, they prefer convenience, ready-to-drink, and flavored coffees. Think of K-Cups, cold brews in a bottle. In particular, cold brew has driven that. It's grown 25% year over year. Now, as far as the market size, so the total North American RTD market is about $6 billion. And the spirits-based market, which doesn't include kind of your malt liquors, White Claws, things like that, is $750 million. And data is hard to find, but we estimate that the boozy coffee market is a $100 million market currently, and is riding the tailwinds of both mixed drinks and cold brew coffee. So who drinks a cold brews? Hopefully everyone, but we've identified 4 kind of personas or target markets that we think will really latch on to cold brews. So we want cold brews to be synonymous with bringing people together and for kickstarting their favorite social activities. So the 4 beachhead markets that we've identified are the brunch bunch, the outdoorsmen, outdoors people, I should say, the out and about crowd, and the tailgaters.
So mixing coffee and whiskey is not an entirely novel concept, and people really enjoy their favorite DIY options or espresso martinis, Irish coffees while they're out at bars. But we don't really view that left side of the y-axis as a real competition because they aren't very convenient or consistent. So where things get interesting is the right side. In the bottom right quadrant, you got quote-unquote hard coffees that clock in at about 5% ABV and have malt liquor as the alcohol that spikes them. And then in the top right, you've got Cafe Agave and Zuzi, which use agave wine and neutral grain spirits, respectively, and clock in over 10% ABV. Where Bold Move Beverages is going to set itself apart from these hard and spiked counterparts is that we used triple distilled 3-year aged Irish whiskey, and our trademarked cold brews offering is going to offer a smooth, coffee-forward experience.
So the unit economics, this is super important. As you can see, gross margins in this industry are very good. So we predict that our first year will have more modest gross margins, but you can see the growth as we achieve economies of scale and we can order our units in bulk. And our fixed cost per unit will also decrease along with that, which isn't included in here. And really the name of the game in this is, to be successful, is it's marketing and your brand positioning and then your distribution, how you get it to your end consumer.
So in the United States, there's a 3-tier regulatory structure that is predominant, and in Texas, that's the case as well. And then also, in order to avoid fixed costs in the early years, we're going to partner with a contract manufacturer called a co-packer to get our product to market. Our distributor would then take delivery of that product and then sell it to retailers who then sell to our end customers. And marketing definitely makes or break an alcohol brand in this industry, and we are going to use a multifaceted approach in order to spur sales both on-premise at bars, restaurants, and venues, and off-premise at liquor stores. This will include having sampling events, partnering with bold ambassadors and micro-influencers, using digital marketing, and also partnering with aspirational local personas and events in the Austin area. And you've heard a little bit about Chris and I. We also want to introduce our advisors. We have Rob Malcolm, who's been an informal advisor for us, who has prior experience as a global marketing VP at Diageo, and currently sits on the board of directors at the Hershey Company.
And then I'm excited to announce, this is the first time publicly that we've announced our newest advisor, Caroline Fabiker, who's one of the co-founders of Canteen Spirits, a local-based Austin company. And most notable about them and why she brings a lot of value to us is they're currently distributing in 50 states already. They're 3 years old. And they recently received an investment from ZX Ventures, which is the venture capital arm of AB InBev, that valued them at $125 million. And so I don't want to gloss over that. AB InBev is the largest beer company in the world who traditionally hasn't played around in the spirits world, and they're now investing in this category, which I think just affirms our thesis about this industry. And so our biggest goal that Bart talked about for the SEAL program was we wanted to raise a little money so that we could continue pursuing this idea, and I'm happy to announce that we have hard commitments for 65% of our friends and family round, and we're looking to close that in the next several weeks, and we're pretty much immediately going to jump into our pre-seed round where we will be looking to raise a little bit over $1 million.
So fortune favors the bold, so we hope you'll consider supporting our bold movement and bringing cold brews to an outing near you. Thank you for your time, and we've brought some cold brews for you guys to enjoy in between or after the event. So thank you.
Well done, guys. Very good. So yeah, please, they have a cooler of the good stuff over there. Next up is Explorers Day, which is coming on video up on the 2 screens. So if you're online, I believe it is sorted to that screen. And so you may have to squint a little bit, get uncomfortably close to your monitor to be able to see it. But everyone in here should have a pleasant experience. After that, Realist Tech, so Mario, you're up after them. Thank you.
Hey everyone, my name is Jaydeep Patil, and I'm the CEO of Explorers Day. Searching for an apartment rental sucks. Look, I don't need to sit here and tell you that because you've probably experienced the pain yourself. But you know what's even more challenging? Searching for a short-term lease. And I think the root of the problem often goes overlooked. You see, the rentals market is extremely complex, and supply is very fragmented across dozens of different websites. Let's take the US, for example. In the US, in the multifamily segment alone, there's literally over 7 or 8 different websites that specialize in it, you know, from apartments.com, apartment list, and a whole bunch more. Same thing for if you're looking for a single family home rental. There's a lot of different websites that specialize in only that, like Zillow, Zumper, Realtor.com, and a couple more. Same thing for hotels. You have the Expedias and Booking.coms of the world. For short term, you have Airbnb and Vrbo. For student housing, you have a couple sites. Same thing for sublets, same thing for co-living, and even for room rentals. And so as a renter, the discovery stage is what ends up being the most complicated. I don't necessarily know where to start my search, nor do I know what kind of website offers the type of rental that I'm looking for. It gets extremely time consuming and overwhelming if I just rely on Google. Let's say I type in, I'm looking for a furnished 3-month lease. Google will then recommend a ton of different websites for me to visit. And I end up spending hours jumping from one website to the next, hoping that one of them will offer something that really meets my needs. The question then arises, how can we simplify the discovery stage and show renters all their options in an easy, seamless fashion? Enter Explorers Day. We're doing what Kayak does for the medium to long-term rental market. Explorers Day compares over 25 different accommodation and rental sites, combining all their listings into one single website. So the same way that Kayak compares dozens of hotel booking sites and brings travelers the best deals, we're applying that exact same model to the medium to long-term space. So whether you're looking for a 1-month extended stay hotel from Expedia, or maybe a 6-month furnished sublet from Spare Room, or maybe just a traditional 12-month apartment lease from Apartment List, we combine all those listings and show them side by side on the same interface. Because of this model, we're able to display over 7 million rentals globally. So coming into the SEAL program at the start of summer, we really wanted to lock in supply. We had only about 7 accommodation providers at the time, and now we have listings syndicated to us from over 25 different partners, with some really notable ones, including Vrbo, Booking.com, Zumper, and coliving.com. What's even more exciting is that we're starting to see a lot of traffic come in. We have over 250,000 renters using our site per month, and we hope to bring that up to 1 million by 2022. And what's even more exciting than that is we're starting to see conversions. In fact, we've done over $50,000 in revenue since when we launched this model about 5 months ago, and over 1.5 million in GMV. Plus, we've also joined the Capital Factory Accelerator as a portfolio company. Like I said, we've closed supply partnerships with the over 25 different websites I showed you on the previous slide, and we were winners of Longhorn Demo Day back in 2020. This is our awesome team. I'm CEO, and I'm joined by 2 phenomenal developers, Avner being our CTO, and Colin, who's helped us build out the back end of our platform. Thank you so much for listening to our pitch. If you have any questions, please email me at jd@explorersday.com, and I hope you enjoyed.
Very good. Okay. It seems like I've seen that that team in startup for about 1.5 years, and I love how they keep iterating and pivoting and growing. And now they're finally getting the traction to make it go happen. So next up is Realist from UC Dallas, and then Loop Medical, which is another video. Stand by for that because it's going to be legendary, epic, some word like that. It's entertaining. So with that, Mario.
Hello, everybody. My name is Mario Flores, and I'm one of the co-founders of Realist Technologies, simplifying, digitizing, and expediting the real estate process, making real estate real easy for anyone. So before we get started, I wanted to introduce you to the team that we built who's trying to solve the real estate problem. First is my co-founder, Akshat Sharma. Unfortunately, he's not here. He's back home in India, but he'll be flying out back to Dallas next week. He has experience with building web applications and also mobile applications as well. He's a certified advanced RPA developer. And he's also started a business before actually going to college. Interesting fact. There's me, Mario. I'm also the co-founder of Realist Technologies. I have about 9+ years of experience in real estate. That includes buying, selling, leasing, renting. I even been part of homes where basically you strip everything from the home, the walls, the wires, the plumbing, and everything, and put everything back up. And then there are two early investors, Tosin and Femi. Tosin, who's a Senior VP at Synchrony Financial. He's also a former Senior VP at Citibank. And then we have Femi, who's a serial entrepreneur and was a former financial analyst for Frito-Lay. So some of the milestones we've accomplished before coming to Seal. We've raised a small seed round of $35,000. We have over 20+ partnerships with real estate professionals in the Dallas area. That includes lenders, agents, home insurance providers, and also home inspectors. We received interest from the National Association of Realtors and their venture capitalist group. And we've also raised almost won $8,000 worth of prize winnings over the past 6 months or so. So the problem. Well, really, buying a home right now just sucks. It's inconvenient. It's so inconvenient that only 1% of home transactions actually occurred online in 2020. It's confusing. Okay. 33% of home buyers had an emotional breakdown while buying their home. Yes, they literally cried during the process of actually buying their home. And 40% of consumers said that this is the most stressful event in modern life. And yes, that is the birth of a child as well. That this is even more stressful than that. Believe it or not. So the solution. Realist fixes this entire process by putting the entire home buying process online and guiding our users at each and every step. From getting pre-approved from a local lender to actually closing on the home. It can be done entirely online. So at each stage of the transaction process, we actually guide our users from beginning to end, from pre-approval to closing, and we connect them to real estate professionals along the way. So really, the cost right now to actually acquire a customer is about $100. And right now, for each transaction to serve that consumer, it's about $100 as well. And we charge a small fee for each part of the transaction we connect the consumer to real estate professionals. So right now, we've decided to do a pivot, our first pivot actually during the SEAL program. One of the biggest problems right now when it came to actually doing our startup when we figured out in the SEAL program is marketing against Zillow, Opendoor, and every other real estate professional in the country. Okay. And really, the process is just really inconsistent, and it's something that consumers don't really do every day. Like, honestly, who's gonna buy a home more than once? And then there's our second pivot. So we figured out we had to target directly to real estate brokerages and professionals. The problem with that is man, it's a messy back end. It's really messy. And really, the tools being used across the country are just very inconsistent sometimes. There are people who use really cool tools and really great technology, and then there are some people who write everything on paper still. So now what? Well, in the beginning of the SEAL program, we've figured out, well, Bart had told us, you're really gonna figure out if you should venture forward with your project, you should pivot, or you should stop the venture all itself. Well, midway through the program, we pivoted twice. It's not really working out that well, so we've come to the conclusion really that maybe it's time to stop the venture of Realist. And that's pretty much it. Thank you, everybody.
Well done, man. Yeah, you're going to see a preview of the next one, but just taking a moment, what Mario and his team did, getting into the point, capturing those learnings, going through the pivots, and getting into the end to say, you know what, this isn't the right path forward for us. There's no opportunity that we see. That is huge, and it's incredibly hard to do. As a founder, I've been in those shoes, and it's just torturous to do that. But it's the right answer. Capture the learnings, move on to the next one. So please get his contact info. He's going to do another one of these. and that's the one you want to be part of because it's just going to get better and better. So next up is, it's going to be fantastic, Loop Medical. And then on deck is Root Medical. So I know we have some rhyming problems. And I actually thought about this when I put them back to back. I spent a lot of time debating. Next up, Abby is going to talk it, so take it away.
Hi everyone, we're sorry we couldn't be there in person for this event, but we're excited to join you from the clinic here in Dallas, where we're testing our device with our pediatric partners. Let's go inside. My name is Abhishek, and I'm the CEO of Loop Medical Innovations. And that's Jose. Jose's a medical assistant here at Kids First Pediatrics. Each day, Jose performs anywhere between 5 to 15 spirometries using a device like this one, called a spirometer. These spirometers provide key data about lung health that then physicians, like Dr. Kelkar, use to form diagnoses and devise treatment plans. While performing these 5 to 15 spirometries, Jose is helping prevent 12 types of error that make spirometry very complicated. It's so complicated, in fact, and even with him sitting right next to you, the patient, over 30% of test results are inaccurate, meaning you have to take the test over and over again to achieve a reliable result. This is not the favorite part of Jose's job. He does not want to be doing this because he'd rather be spending that time figuring out how to help you get better. So the reason he's excited to have us here in the office with them today is because we've developed this, the Loop Spirometer. Our device lets you conduct spirometry on your own so your caregivers can easily monitor your lung health over the course of weeks, months, throughout the course of care without you ever having to step foot in the doctor's office. Our technology makes performing spirometry and sharing data easier than ever before with its simple and intuitive mobile interface and secure HIPAA-compliant data uplink. Best of all, we've embedded sensors and AI technology to automatically detect and compensate for those 12 notorious types of error. In summary, our device not only lets you free up time in your day, but also enables doctors to provide more personalized care. Furthermore, through our research into CPT codes and healthcare insurance, every session with your doctor gets paid for. So today's spirometry is about an $800 million market. But with our technology, we can accelerate the growth of this market to over $3 billion by 2025. And that's because we can fundamentally change the standard of care. Through the SEAL program over the past few weeks, we've been focused on getting here, to this place, to the point where a physician actually invited us in. And this meant everything from printing 3D prototypes to filing for incorporation, and generally learning everything there is to know about conducting spirometry. While we've been here so far, we've conducted close to 30 spirometries with both our conventional and loop spirometers. And through our testing so far, we've seen a jump of over 30% in test efficiency and accuracy with our loop spirometer. In effect, we've completely validated the joy we're bringing clinicians by optimizing this cumbersome process. And moving forward, we're so excited to continue testing our device over the next 3 weeks. But while we're here, we're especially focusing on our revenue model and how we price this to our clinical partners. Because if I could pull Jose away from his job one last time today, he'd tell you about how thrilled he is to get this device in your toolkit. Over the last few years, we've seen digital health balloon to the point that we have cardiograms on our wrists. At Loop Medical Innovations, we're working to elevate the tools to monitor lung health to that same level. We're so thankful to our supporters here at Kids First Pediatrics, at the SEAL and Launchpad programs, at the Texas Innovation Center, the Austin Technology Incubator, and the Herb Keller Center. Thank you so much for being with us here today, and please reach out if you have any questions or ideas to share with us.
Code blue, code blue.
I better get going.
So that just happened. No, I'm kidding. Avi is fantastic. He actually helped us run SEAL about 2 years ago. So he's been around and seen all this before. And he really did want to be here, and I'm glad he went for such a way to tell this story. Let's go with that. Because now everyone in here remembers it and remembers his pivot to and. Anyways, it's about telling the story, so I appreciate him embracing that. Next up, Root Medical, and then we're going to take a 15-minute break. During the break, heads up, because it'll conclude. We refilled the cooler. We'll work on the resolution for the screens. Otherwise, Root, you're up.
Awesome. I haven't held a microphone in like, I don't know, 20 years. So on behalf of myself and my co-founder, Dr. Jennifer Hull, I'm going to tell you about Root today. So Root is translation without a translator. It's location-based, QR-launched web app, all these good things, peer-reviewed, and Root is a way that we see to make healthcare more equitable by just starting a baseline conversation, because that's what everybody deserves. What Root also is, great group project. We went through MSTC based on Dr. Hull's experience. Oh yeah, like Talladega Nights. And and quite frankly, it was a great project to work on, and everyone graduated, so it was very successful. In fact, it's also an award-winning pitch competition entry. We took home 3rd place at the most recent TVL competition, wherever Ian is, and along with the NEMIC Challenge and the Healthcare Innovation Award. So it's great. We've got some money for funding, but the other thing that Root is more of a seed. So we quickly realized that there is a difference between an idea and a venture. Anybody want to guess what that is? Anybody? Doing it. So that was our one question for the summer. How do we get this done? And that required us to go and review every last thing that we did for a year. Fun times, right? So I can also tell you, you can win an award and be wrong. And that's okay, because being wrong is the first place that you start, because that leads to right. So what did we learn? Well, first thing is, if we're going to have something that is based off of people talking, giving people a voice, well then our marketing strategy can be winnowed down, and we can take that into basically a place where we want people's stories. We want to tell those stories. We want people to understand exactly what's going on, because doctors need to understand that. We need them to participate. We need them to be our customers, and we need them to be part of our peer review network. So the next thing we looked at, after saying, you know what, let's get equitable with our discussion, is our pricing model. Guess what my advisor said? Who cares? He said, it's really hard to price something that doesn't exist. And I agree, it's terribly difficult, despite the fact that all of it's based off of encounters, all of it's based off the NIH model. I can predict what I think it should be, but until I have something in market and I test it, I don't know. And that's okay. And the last thing we discovered, and this one was painful, we were wrong about our customers. Now, Dr. Hull went and redid all of our interviews with our customers, and it turns out that DSOs are not our customers. Despite owning 60% of the practices that they are part of, they don't want to pay for it. It's a doctor's choice. But something great came out of that as well, because we realized that DSOs are our partners. One DSO with over 350 practices agreed to be part of our beta program. That's a nationwide beta, which means that we can pick localization for languages, we can test it in market where it needs to be. Fantastic. And the other one said, well, we won't buy it, but you can use us as a channel partner. You can sell directly through us. And that makes a huge difference within healthcare. So that still leaves us with a problem. How do we go from this lovely schematic and mock-up to something that a doctor can hold in their hands and try? So the rest of the time in the summer, we spent building an advisory board, which I'm proud to announce today. First up, we added my old CEO, John Wester. He taught me everything I know about healthcare. I was part of his startup. We launched it. We sold it to TransUnion. This guy knows what he's talking about, and he knows every single hospital executive in the United States. Second one of my MSTC cohorts. Miguel Roblero is a UI UX expert, and for those of you within the Macomb School, you know that he teaches UI UX. So what better way to ensure that you're going to deliver something that's great by hiring a great UI UX guy? Next up, Dr. Peter Beery. Now, besides being a PhD in particle physics, Peter also taught computer science at Notre Dame. And we'll talk a little bit more about Peter here in a second. And the final one is Ted Harries, a good friend of mine, corporate attorney, and he is in the process of now executing our S-Corp formation. So, back to Peter. Peter looked at me and he said, I'd love to be an advisor. He said, but I'd also like to build this. And I said, I'll get you a deal sheet this week. So, the best part about this, because culturally you have to be aligned, because you cannot translate just language, you have to think in culture, is that every one of these guys represents a different language. John started out, his first job was a translator for Motorola in Japanese. Miguel's fluent in Spanish. Peter's half Brazilian and speaks Brazilian Portuguese, also Klingon, so we may be able to work that out. And then I consider legalese its own language because I'm not a lawyer. So hopefully the next time we meet up and you guys hear from us, we'll be able to speak in whatever language we choose, and we'll have something in doctors' hands. And until then, if you want to know more, let's talk. Thank you all.
Awesome. I'm glad you actually got the Klingon part out. I was going to come back for it. So with that, that's our first group of presentations. We're going to take about a 15-minute break. We're wildly ahead of time, which, shocking, how does that happen for a startup pitch competition, particularly one that's trying to juggle virtual and in-person. So thank you to all the presenters for being crisp on time and telling good stories. So with that, we're going to take about a 10-minute break, grab some water. If you have questions for one of the presenters, go find them, track them down. If you are a mentor for one of the teams, we have a bag of swag for you to say thank you. So come find myself. I think you can also figure out where the bags might be. Otherwise, thank you. We'll see you back up here in about 10 minutes.
Not that easy, but Grammarly can help.
Okay, for everyone, grab a little bit of one more drink, whether it's the waters from Austin or a bold Move beverage. And for everyone online, we'll get started here in about 2 minutes. Thank you. We get started. We ready? All right, everyone, we're gonna get back to the second round of pitches, our second group. Thank you for everyone who went around and found one of the teams and talked with them. That was great to see some of them mingling here in person. I know it's kind of weird being in person, especially as UT, so thank you for putting up with our contact tracing requirements, our limited capacity, masking, all that kind of stuff, given how quickly this changed. We were talking even a week ago, this would have been a very different dynamic than it is today. But it's so awesome to actually be on a stage and seeing pitches happen on stages, because that's been so much of my life for 15 years. So that's really cool to see it happen again and again. Thank you everyone for coming back. We have another 7 presentations. I'm basically gonna give the first one. The first company, NISOC, had a family emergency, so he's not able to participate. What they're able to do is detect radiation using a semiconductor chip instead of vacuum tubes, basically, which blows my mind. That's still the technical standard. And it turns out all of us should like this, because this means we can actually monitor for radiation things coming in through our ports and other places. And so they spent the summer seeing if there was a different commercial opportunity, if there's more industry opportunity instead of a safety and DoD one. So I don't want to steal their thunder, but that's how they spent their time in SEAL. Worked really hard, got a lot of work done, so hopefully you'll see more coming out from them in the coming days. Next up is Clocker. So come on up, then after them is Move. So we're gonna have all kinds of different pitches coming up in the next few minutes. Welcome back, everyone. Let's get it going. Yep.
Hi, everyone. It's so nice to be here. I'm Apoorva Chintala. I am a rising senior, and I'm also the CEO and co-founder of Clocker. Let me see. I don't know which button it is. Hold on. Okay, there we go. So this picture on the screen is a picture of my sister and I with my grandparents. And unfortunately, when I was around 15 years old, my grandfather passed away unexpectedly, and he lives in India. And so my dad had to go back and essentially deal with the aftermath, in addition to having to deal with the death in the family, which I'm sure many of you can relate to. It's a lot of emotions, it's a lot of not knowing what to do, but on top of that, we had no idea what his last wishes were, what he wanted, and where he wanted all of his stuff to go to. So with that, my dad and I, we realized this was a very common problem for many people, so we came together to found Clocker. With his experience in technology and my interest in wanting to digitize the legacy planning industry, we created a cloud locker. So we essentially provide a cloud locker, which is how we got our company name Clocker, to provide planning for your digital legacy, and also a place to just essentially consolidate all of your important information and documents to be accessible in an emergency or after death. And so we essentially just wanted to provide peace of mind to people worldwide that their legacy and their loved ones' legacy is accessible when the time comes. So yeah, that's our end vision and our goal. So with our team, so we have a lot of people that are on our advisory board with the industries that we want to go into. So we have estate lawyers, people doing legal research with us, senior care, and financial planning. So our market, so currently we have an end-to-consumer platform, and so every one of you here today is part of our target market, but to be more on the serious side, on the B2B side, so we are targeting financial planners, estate lawyers, employee benefits, senior living. So the target market, just looking at senior living and CFPs, is over $5 billion in the US alone. And so this summer, the past year, I guess, we've mostly been focused on product. That's kind of where our background is, our interest is. And so this summer we wanted to go kind of into a processes change, but also a mindset shift, focusing on sales, marketing, and then also product this summer. And so our goals were to have 1 to 2 signed letters of intent from our pilot program that we did, and then also be better about establishing more business processes. And so we did just that. So we have actually increased our marketing team. So we hired 3 people to help us with SEO, content, just essentially building our brand, getting our name out there. We have 2 committed B2B customers from our pilot program, both of which are CFPs. From the pilot program that I mentioned, we directly implemented feedback about our B2B dashboard. And then we also hit over 700K total, which is from our crowdfunding campaign and our seed round that we did with friends and family. So future plans, over the next 3 months, we have a lot of plans in order to grow the company, sales, and then product as well. So we have a stealth blockchain project coming up. One of the biggest pieces of feedback that we've gotten from our users is that sometimes our product can be hard to use, so we listened loud and clear. So we're doing a UX overhaul to kind of improve our user experience and onboarding. We also hope to, we have almost 1,000 investors through our public campaign, so we hope to get a lot of sales. Our goal is 100K, we'll see by the end of this year through those investors. And then one big thing we realized this summer is that it's really difficult to go to each and every single CFP, CPA, because this industry is so fragmented, to be able to scale sales as quickly as we want to. So in addition to that, we're also going to be increasing our focus on partnerships with organizations that have reached to those individuals. So we have a lot of conversations lined up through connections from our advisory board with insurance companies and financial planning companies, and then our 90-day marketing plan, which we want to implement in the next few months. So our ask today is if you have any strategic connections to financial institutions, employee benefits, financial planners, estate lawyers, if any of these apply to you or you know someone in these industries, please talk to me after. That would greatly be appreciated. But I also wanted to take some time to thank the people that are running this program today. So thank you to Bart, Nina, and Mitch for all the random questions I asked you guys. It's been so helpful this summer. And then Ben and Gavin, who are my mentors for this summer as well. But yeah, I invite you today to join us in digitizing the legacy planning industry. You can sign up at clocker.com, that's CLOCR.com. But yeah, I'd love to hear your feedback, but thank you so much for your time today. And it's been a pleasure going through the program. And all of the pitches were so amazing, so I can't wait to see where all of you go. Thank you.
It's awesome.
Oh, sorry.
That was fantastic. I actually saw her father pitch it for the very first time at a Houston cybersecurity pitch competition. And then I found out his co-founder was also his daughter and at UT. I was like, and I know, yep. And so therefore I had a first target to go after for SEAL for the summer. So I was like, I can't believe I got that lucky to see a cool company. Next up is Move. Come on. And then after Move, we have Clarity, which is going to be by video.
Thank you.
Clicker.
All right, thank you, everyone. My name is Michael Banta, and I am the founder of Move Nicotine Pouches. And what we aim to do is forever eliminate tobacco from nicotine consumption. This may surprise you, but what we know is tobacco causes the medical problems in tobacco consumption. It's not nicotine. From a lot of scientific research, especially from the FDA over the many decades they've studied this, even though nicotine is what addicts people to tobacco products, it's not what makes tobacco products so deadly. Instead, it's the mix of chemicals in tobacco and the smoke that accompanies cigarettes that causes significant diseases and even death in a lot of tobacco consumers. So what we've come up with, what we've developed,
are Move Nicotine Pouches. They are these small white pouches that are made up with synthetic nicotine, plant fiber, and flavoring. And a consumer simply places it between their lip and their gum, and it's a very comfortable experience, flavorful experience, and it allows tobacco consumers to enjoy nicotine without any of the risks of tobacco. Because we use synthetic nicotine, this product is not classified as a tobacco product, and the FDA has already stated that they're not regulating synthetic nicotine products. So we can sell this product online directly to the consumer. It is not subject to excise taxes like tobacco products are. We can provide free samples. We can sponsor events, influencers. There's a whole swath of marketing and sales channels that Move can leverage that tobacco products legally cannot do. And again, everything in these pouches are completely biodegradable. Now, here's the team. My name's Michael Banta. I spent over 3 years in the tobacco industry and launched what was at the time Big Tobacco's first entry into electronic cigarettes. And my team grew the Vuse electronic cigarette brand into the #2 electronic cigarette in the United States in less than a year. I've also been involved with several technology startups in Austin, Series A companies that went through hypergrowth. I've built and led go-to-market teams in those companies, which gives me great experience to hire a team for this venture I'm pursuing. Joshua is a digital marketing guru. Since we can sell this product via e-commerce directly to the consumer, he's the man that's going to be able to really leverage that channel and ensure we get significant sales and high repurchases. And Andre, who went to business school with me at McCombs, he's an expert when it comes to intellectual property and commercialization from his work with NASA, Oak Ridge National Labs, and University of Texas, San Antonio. With the samples I've received from my manufacturer, we've had great momentum. Over 85% of consumers in our target market will switch from their current tobacco product to Move nicotine pouches. Additionally, from some online sales we've been testing, pre-orders I should say, we know that it costs about $25 to acquire a customer, and they typically purchase in amounts of roughly $10. We know that we can expect a really high repurchase rate, so we'll be able to break even in less than 2 months on every new customer that we acquire. Additionally, there's a small smoke shop chain here in Austin that is willing to carry our product. Additionally, I'm in conversations with an owner of several distributors in Texas that reach over 3,000 retail locations in the Texas and surrounding states geography. Just these 2 channels and contacts alone provide a path to $100 million in revenue. Because this market opportunity is so big, and I know my product is so good, and we can leverage all of these marketing and sales channels, there's a significant opportunity. The whole tobacco industry is almost $100 billion just in the United States. Now, consumers of smokeless tobacco sales make up $8 billion of that, and because we have 85% of tobacco consumers that we know will switch from their current product to Move nicotine pouches, we have a clear line of sight to over $1 billion in revenue. Now, I'm currently on the fundraising journey, and I have $200,000 committed to my overall goal of over $1 million already. Again, my name is Michael Banta, founder of Move Nicotine Pouches. If you'd like to learn more, our website is up. Feel free to visit movepouches.com. Thank you.
Nicely done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good. Next up is clarity, which can come by video. And then following that, we're going to have Zeus Wild. So you're up and ready to go. So with that, clarity. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kevin. I'm the co-founder and COO of Clarity, and we are a highly secure email provider that is helping companies get clarity into their everyday communications. All right, wake up, everyone, because it is the start of the workday. Today, I'm going to be taking you into a day in the life of our friend Tom. Tom is a current branch manager at a financial firm, and every day he's in misery. The minute he opens up his inbox, he just wants to close it because there's just too many things that he has to get to. You know, checking every email to see if it's important, placing them in folders just to stay organized, and throwing them into his calendar for any time-sensitive scheduling. Just when Tom finishes organizing 10 emails, 10 new ones flood in, making him want to delete all his emails sometimes just to get some peace of mind. Now, Tom has dreamed of using something other than Outlook to solve his pain points, but unfortunately, his company only trusts big providers like Outlook and Gmail to protect their highly sensitive financial information. And this didn't even work. In fact, Tom was one of the unfortunate 30,000 businesses that was hacked in a recent breach in Microsoft's email exchange servers just last month. To prevent this from happening ever again and to gain some clarity into his life, Tom found Clarity, the provider that helps him and his company save time without having to sacrifice anything on the security end. In fact, Tom was pleased to discover that the type of attack they suffered last month on Microsoft is literally impossible on Clarity because it is the only provider who can handle emails without even reading them. Now you might be wondering, how does Tom actually save time on Clarity and gain more control of his workday? Well, it starts in his inbox. So today's a very busy day for Tom. You know, he wakes up and gets an email about a shareholders meeting in the morning. As he's walking to his meeting, he gets another mail from his internal marketing team for a presentation later on in the day. During that presentation, his credit card company tells him his bill is being due later that evening, and at the same time, his mentor is messaging him about their one-on-one. Tom is completely lost. With all these different dates and times, and some emails having calendar invites while others don't, Tom has to manually map out his day, and he is stressed. On Clarity, however, none of these problems exist. As Tom installs the app and opens it up for the first time, he's able to automatically see what he has to get to for that day. He sees that he has a shareholders meeting at 9 o'clock, followed by his market analysis presentation at around 12, and his credit card bill and his one-on-one are automatically placed. Tom likes how his calendar and his inbox are all combined in one, so that he only has to check one single place to get to what he needs to for that day. Now, during one of his meetings, Tom receives a long-winded email thread forwarded to him by his boss. And in his old system, Tom would have to read backwards in time and figure out who's saying what, wasting countless minutes just to understand a simple thread. In Clarity, that same thread is no longer an issue. Tom can see in a chronological standpoint from beginning to end who said what and also which participants are involved at each stage. Now, Tom no longer has to worry about keeping people out of the loop, and especially when John, like always, forgets to hit reply all. Tom and his company are not the only ones that can benefit off Clarity. In fact, corporations of all shapes and sizes can start saving immense time without having to sacrifice anything on the security end. Here is just a glimpse of our market sizing to see just how large this is. Now you might be wondering, why can't Google or Outlook or any major players easily copy what we're doing and enter this space? Now for starters, Google and Outlook, their business model relies on being able to read users' emails to train their data sets. On Clarity, however, it is literally impossible for us to read users' emails, making these kinds of attacks on Google and Outlook impossible on Clarity. We're currently in the process of securing a patent for this novel encryption technology, and it would greatly help with funding. Also, Clarity is the only one that combines your calendar, to-do lists, and email inbox into one unified view. All the other platforms just increase fragmentation, having users check back and forth between different places. Our business model is relatively straightforward and affordable. We're only charging $1 per gigabyte per user per year, and also offering a free 60-day pilot period for companies to see just how much time they're saving in only a couple months. Since launching our pilot just a few months ago, Clarity has taken off. We've already onboarded 4 small and medium-sized businesses consisting of over 200 employees, and we're in the talks with 1,000 more. Also, in a survey conducted from UT Austin and Harvard students, 47% of around 143 young working professionals are willing to pay for our platform of what we have so far. Will and I are the co-founders behind Clarity. We're not only both experienced software developers, but we first-handedly experienced the pain points of email and wish to bring our vision to millions of companies around the world. With your support, we can help fund our patent and get SOC 2 certifications to bring Clarity to millions of enterprises. If you'd like to be added to our waiting list, go get some clarity at getclarity.org. Thank you so much.
Very good. Kind of embedded in that story, you talked a lot about the user experience, the cybersecurity side. I've been poking around the cybersecurity through a venture studio for about 5 years, and it's incredibly hard to figure out how to really bring secure technology. So kudos to them for working on email even, which is extra hard. Next up, Zeus Wild, and then Aipal is up after them with the video. Carlos?
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Carlos Colombanarks, and I'm the CEO of Zeus Wild. This is Dr. Chen. Dr. Chen I met Dr. Chen at UT Austin while I was a student in my MBA program, which I graduated in 2020. And to the side there, you can see the energy storage fabric that he created. And what you have to remember is that it's how it's composed, not what it's composed of, that makes this technology unique, and it stores energy. So what does this mean? So for a camper, this could mean getting rid of the batteries, the wires, and the solar cell, and now you have a fabric that can both generate and store solar power. So what does this mean for different populations? Well, for a military person, this could mean reducing up to 30 pounds of batteries from the rucksack and replacing them with water so they can stay out in the field for longer. For a refugee family, this could mean powering their cell phone with their tent so that they can send an SMS message back home to tell their family that they're safe. For a product brand, well, with over 150 customer discovery interviews, what we found is the most important part of this is that it's a valuable differentiator for them in a saturated outdoor market. Our team is myself, the CEO. There's Jason Lee back there, and he's our lead researcher, and Dr. Chen, the inventor of the energy storage fabric. We all met actually in a project doing this feasibility of the energy storage fabric at UT Austin. And since then, we went on to the Tarmac Texas Accelerator Program, where we built a business model around the technology. And then we went to the National Science Foundation $50,000 grant program to do the customer discovery for this technology, and most recently, the SEAL program. So we're looking at an $8.1 billion market for the US alone, with 50% of the market share going to 3 major players, REI, VF, and Patagonia. For this reason, our strategy is not to compete with them on creating product. Our strategy is actually to enable them by sub-licensing out the fabric technology to them so they can build products that are unique and differentiated and big revenue generators for them. Prior to SEAL, we had done over 150 customer discovery interviews, and what we found was that we'd validated the need for our product, but customers would not give us the fabric specifications for the outdoor gear that they're using. This was considered trade secret. So our big SEAL milestone was a gap analysis. And for the gap analysis, we created a provisional specification of our own fabric, our current formulation, and we created specifications for military tents, Red Cross tents, and regular camping tents for outdoor gear. And so with that, then we compared them to see what the differences were, where our current formulation stood. And the results, well, we were overweight by 1 to 12 times. we were at about 0.02 watts per meter squared, which is low for if we're comparing against a battery, but it's sufficient for a market MVP. Tensile strength was 5,000 times what we needed, which was way over spec. Tear strength, we're still testing that in the lab right now, but we expect it to be about 1 times or just below the minimum tear strength requirements. Not a big deal. Cost, though, was at 4.5 times the maximum that they expected, what product brands expected us to charge. So biggest things here are weight and cost. And what do we do? Well, if you remember back, the technology, it's about how it's composed, not what it's composed of. So we're going back to the lab. We have 2 new formulations that we have in conceptual mode, and we need to test and verify them. So we need 12 months and $250,000 to do this. We're targeting grant funding right now, but we're open to other options. Once we get that market MVP, then we plan on taking it to market. And I want to thank everybody. Thank you, everybody, for coming here and supporting us. And thanks to our mentors, Eric Lude, Steve Barstick, Melvs Lemieux, Bart Bond, Tarmac, Texas Innovation Center, National Science Foundation, ATI, Launchpad at UT Austin, and the SEAL program for getting us here. And everybody, if you're interested, please visit our website, zeuswild.com, and subscribe to our newsletter. Thank you.
Well done. Carlos, well done. You always want to move forward as fast as you can, but sometimes back to the lab is the answer. And the other thing I'd just like to note on that, he listed out like 10 different orgs that have helped them along their journey. And I think that's probably true for just about all the other startups. And so it's just incredible to see the journey that they're on and all the different organizations that are there to help these individuals and the companies. Our next one is second team from Texas A&M. It's Aipal. It's on video. Then after that is our last presentation with Throwaway. So I'm excited to the last couple ones. If you're online, we're seeing some of the questions come through. Sorry, I totally we're answering online as we can. Otherwise, it's of course going to be recorded so you can go back and pick out information, contact info, those kind of things. Thanks, everyone.
This is Alfredo. I'm from Team Aipal. We're a spin-off from Texas A&M University, and this summer we were able to learn many things about entrepreneurship through the SEAL program. At Aipal, our mission is to democratize machine learning for everybody, and we have prepared the following video to explain more about Aipal.
Machine learning is revolutionizing several multi-billion-dollar industries, from predictive maintenance in manufacturing to recommendation systems in e-commerce. Currently, highly specialized data scientists rely on heuristics to design ML models. Also, due to the black box nature of ML, the model outputs are often challenging to interpret, making the process lengthy and expensive. There's a need to automate and simplify this process to allow smaller businesses access to such advanced technologies and help them thrive in a data-driven world. Aipal's easier-to-use tools integrate automation and explainability into ML. Our goal is to reduce the ML development complexity to accelerate its adoption for smaller businesses that need to adapt to its digital-first economy. The Aipal team has its origins in academia. Our team developed highly praised open-source packages such as AutoKeras, the #1 automated deep learning software on GitHub, with over 7,600 stars and 1,200 forks. With Aipal's tools, our current users have achieved comparable accuracy as ML models designed by human experts in fields such as manufacturing, social media, and e-commerce at a fraction of current time and cost. We ask for your support in our quest to make artificial intelligence accessible to everyone.
For us, this summer has been fantastic. We have learned a tremendous amount of information, very valuable lessons as well. And we divided in three the main categories that were really beneficial for us. The first one is to understand better our intellectual property protection. Basically, through non-disclosure agreements, non-compete clauses as well, patents, trademarks. We already implemented many of them in our current processes at Aipal. And receiving this information, this coaching, some legal advice as well has been super important for us. Another area that we have grown tremendously has been through our fundraising, especially with the non-diluted forms through the SBIR, Partnership for Innovation as well, both through the National Science Foundation. And we have been able to establish some partnership with researchers at UT Austin, at Texas A&M University, Rice University as well. So we believe that as we move forward with our R&D activities, this will be really important for us, not only for research, but also as we move into the technology commercialization stage. And finally, but we believe the most important area that we have been able to grow during the summer is to establish this entrepreneurial networking with senior entrepreneurs that are now our mentors, our coaches, and also the entrepreneurs like us are starting their entrepreneurial journey. So we believe that this partnership, these connections, this networking will become more and more important as we move forward, as we mature as entrepreneurs and as we mature our own endeavors. So for us, it's clearly that this is a go decision, and we are now looking at what's next. First of all, we are relaunching, revamping our website. You can visit it today at powtech.ai. Feel free to connect with us, see what we are doing. We have a couple of free trials there that you can use our outlier detection technology and our automated machine learning technologies as well. We have new projects in these two areas. We are working with S&P 500 companies. It's very exciting what is coming ahead for us. So yes, we will be happy to share all of this news in the near future. And finally, if we want to ask for introductions, in particular manufacturing has been very important for us, but anything that needs anomaly detection technologies, that's the tool that we provide. Well, that's it for us. Feel free to connect with me. Here is all my information, and thanks again.
That's awesome. Alfredo, you kind of heard a little bit of it, but he and his team definitely undersold what they did in their academic project that they created as open source. It is huge and absolutely fantastic, and I love to see them trying to make a commercial go of it. And by the way, he undersold that part of how successful they've been at it as well. Our last company, wrapping us up, is Throwaway. Second time for me to get to work with them. I'm so excited. I've enjoyed it every time, so I'm glad they get to wrap us up. With that, you're up. Yep.
All right, thanks everyone. Last one. Thanks for hanging in there. Okay. So when I was in middle school, I watched An Inconvenient Truth, the Al Gore documentary on climate change. I remember watching the animation of the ice caps melting and a polar bear swimming for its life. Knowing that eventually it would drown, I just could not stop crying. From there, I knew I had to be a part of the fight against climate change. When it comes to greenhouse gas emissions, food waste contributes 8% of global emissions, which makes it the third largest source if we make it as a country. So this is also equivalent to 4 billion metric tons of CO2 per year. And this comes at a financial cost too, where grocers have to budget for wasted produce, up to $7 million a year. And for context, grocers earn about $20 million to $72 million in sales per year, but really I'm focused on that 12% of vegetables and produce that go unsold. The number one reason we found for why food waste occurs is that grocers lack the granular data needed to make the most informed decisions. So our solution is the Throwaway, a smart cart technology that measures, manages, and reduces food waste for grocery stores. So let's walk through how a produce manager would use it using an apple as an example. First, the floor employee would put the apple through our hardware device where the automated data collection captures its weight, the reason why it was removed, what it is, and other biochemical metrics. And so this way, this saves a lot of time for the floor employee who otherwise would have had to go in the back, record it. It's a very labor-intensive process. Next, our software determines that the brown specks on the apple came from sitting in cold temperatures for too long, and it then calculates the remaining shelf life of that apple, and in step 3, we divert the apple into the discount or donation bin instead of compost. And to prevent future damage, the produce manager gets a recommendation to store their apples at the optimum temperature for the appropriate length of time. So our revenue model, we start with a one-time cost for hardware and then a software subscription for the analytics and reporting. And this price may sound steep for a grocery store, but this is in the typical range of equipment costs for them, which can run up to the $100,000. And we're trying to aim for a 50% recovery to be comparable with our competitors. So for the grocer losing $7 million, they'll earn $3.5 million in savings. For a first-year ROI, Throwaway costs 1% of their return. So these are real employees of Wheatsville, worth noting. Our corporate buyer is our customer. They work at a high level, make purchasing decisions for multiple stores. They're critical in implementing top-down solutions and influencing buying patterns. Then we have our produce manager who are end users, and they're responsible for the operations and actually reducing food waste within their store. Our TAM includes all grocery stores in the US, so that's 40,000 locations. Our SAM narrows down to more sustainability-focused grocers, so Sprouts, natural grocers. And then our SOM starts in the heart of Texas, so we're going after Wheatsville, HEB, and other local grocers. So to start, we'll go after leverage corporate connections and make direct sales. Then we'll attend tech and grocery association conventions, place advertisements and white papers and publications, and then partnering with equipment distributors. So for our competitors, right now the dominant ones include Manager Intuition, pen to paper, or just nothing at all. But we've seen some up-and-coming competitors. We have indirect ones that use similar technology, but they target hospitality industries or your local IKEA cafeteria. Then we have adjacent ones who are also targeting grocers in their food waste, but they use different methods, have limited data. And then we have future competitors who are other startups as well. So in comparison, Throwaway meets the direct needs and complex needs of grocery stores through a holistic, data-driven approach. So the team, I'm Roslyn. We have Becky here, and then Paige couldn't make it today, but we're graduates from UT Austin. We're women scientists passionate about food, public health, and really dedicated to bridging science and sustainability. Special thanks to Chris for being our mentor this summer and Bart for everything, of course. So this summer, we're focused on our customer relationships. We've been piloting a concierge model with Wheatsville for the last 4 months now, and that is helping us get to a signed LOI. I was really hoping it'd be today, but we're very close, just hashing out the details. And on top of that, we've reached out to more grocers in the Austin area, reaching over 40% of that market. So we'll just continue that process of collecting letters of intent, support, setting up future pilots with them. So we started as a classroom project, and since then we've gone through several accelerators, competitive programs. We've raised $17,000 in non-dilutive funding, but looking ahead, we'll be pitching in Minneapolis, working with engineering students to help iterate on our prototype, and then fundraising as well to set us up for pilot deployments. So to wrap it up, thank you, and let's clean up aisle food waste together.
Awesome, fantastic job. Yes, less food waste is good. I just love to see the momentum of every single team all summer long. For me, this kind of gets to wrap it up. My contact info is up there in case you want to reach out. It's about the program, if you want to get introductions to any of the teams. Otherwise, I just get to right now say thank you a bunch. Rose, Nina, Shannon, Barrett, and Mitch of the Launchpad team. It's incredible the work that they did to make this program happen. The mentors who volunteered their time and expertise to work with each of the teams over the summers. And clearly the folks that did all the actual hard work are the teams. So for those of you in the room, please join me in giving them a round of applause. And for the teams, hopefully there's plenty more applause for you as you continue on your journey. There always will be. With that, thank you for joining us online, here in the room. If you're here in the room, stick around, network for a little while. If you're online, please reach out if you want to get in touch with anybody. And I'm being told before I let everyone go, if you're a participant in this year's cohort, come up on stage so we can do like a cohort photo. And thank you. Aha. And if anyone hasn't picked up their swag bag, participants are mentors. Now might be a good time to do that.